in an absolutely stunning turn of events, we just did a video a couple days ago about the Civil War in America has begun. People have been asking for a long time, is the Civil War here? Are we going to have another Civil War? I actually told my father about almost 20 years ago, I guess, probably 15 to 20 years ago, maybe 18 years ago, when I was in high school, that we would have another Civil War in my lifetime. I could see it then. I could already see what was happening. So that gives you a perspective as to where my takes come from and where some of my thinking and where I just saw life going. In 2003, 2004, I could already see it easily then as a child. And as a 15, 16, 17-year-old, that we were headed for civil war. We were headed for this conflict, really aided and spurred on by, obviously, the fiat legacy monetary system, the broken monetary system, which incentivizes chaos and incentivizes media, academia, pop culture to pit people together and to now produce cliques. That's one of the big things. But when you have people divided against each other, this kind of goes back to Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals and stuff, where you have this coercion into force into groups of people to keep them divided in hatred against each other and polarization, to keep people distracted from what's actually going on in the world. We have the Supreme Court ruling against the state of Texas, 5-4, with two conservative judges, Coney Barrett and Chief Justice John Roberts siding with majority, and it looks like it's a temporary order, it says, but saying that the razor wire and all this stuff should come down, or the federal agents should be able to go in there. And this is unbelievable precedent. Again, I know that this might be basic for some people, but most people don't have history classes anymore, or just such a basic idea of what the history of America is and the founding fathers and how we were created and why we became such an exceptional country. It was because of things like this. 50 nations, but at the time it wasn't 50, right? But nations, states being together and then having a federal apparatus kind of wrapped around it to come in and maybe provide for a bigger military if need be, or just help with commerce between the states, the road systems and things like that, just to help with that. But it was really minimal, if anything, that they were supposed to be involved, the federal government. And no one was at the federal government for a long time. They put it in a swamp, eventually moved it there in D.C. because they didn't want people there, because it was hot and muggy and there was no air conditioning back in the day. So anyway, this is, in my opinion, unconstitutional. 5 of the justices, but we know, no one has no political bias. Right, so this is where some of this comes into play, right? And we don't know the blackmail situations, right? These are things we don't know, that we don't understand what some of the blackmail situations are. Chief Justice John Roberts, when I was 22 years old, and I saw, or 23 years old, when I saw the 2012 election happen, or it might have been 2012, right around then, when they ruled on Obamacare, and which was rammed down everyone's throats, and he changed the law, which is not what the judges or the judicial branch is supposed to do. Instead, it was a tax, or it's not a tax, or whatever. I don't even remember what it is now, off the top of my head. Can't think fast enough on the fly here. But anyway, at the time, I'm thinking he's been blackmailed. Like he was all of a sudden, he was conservative for a long time, and maybe he wasn't the most conservative guy in the world, but all of a sudden, this is a slam dunk. Like Obamacare couldn't be more unconstitutional. Forcing people, mandating people to get health care. The government now is saying and mandating what you can or can't do with your own life and your own body, which we are now seeing really run amok. So we set this precedent, but it went against conservative values at the time. And John Roberts was the deciding vote that said, yep, that's fine. And I was stunned. I mean, needless to say, I was stunned. And I realized then, 2009, 2010, and really 2012 in that year as well, that the country was absolutely going off the cliff, and we had 1 foot off the cliff already, and we just hadn't fallen all the way down yet. So I saw these things, like I said, 20 years ago, I saw things very clearly. I said there would be a civil war, and then 10 years after that, which was about 2012, I again could see we are clearly really a Marxist country. It was a crony capitalist state, and there was no way we're coming back from this. So this is why I prepare. This is why I talk about the things I talk about: getting independent, getting resilient, having a Bitcoin, gun, gold and silver, ammo, firearms, security, food, water, being reliant, because you cannot rely on other people to do your dirty work, to do what you need to do to protect your family. Like I said this the other day, I tweeted out, the individual has the presumption of innocence and must be found guilty. The government and global entities and the apparatus, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, they have the presumption of guilt, and they must prove beyond a shadow of a doubt to all of us that they are good, ethical, moral beings, and that there's a reason they're doing said program. Period. And when it gets twisted, then we don't operate in reality anymore. And things start to become very, very gummed up, to say the very least. And here we are, same thing. I said Civil War is here already. Again, ramped up again, because Texas said, hold your horses, you ain't coming in here. And they're already have seen, there's been no federal agents, I guess, that have been seen around there trying to cut stuff down or take stuff out, but there's been Texas agents, or, administration or whoever, have been seen putting more razor wire up and more anti-climb fences and things of that nature. So this isn't going anywhere right now. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to appeal it, or who knows what's going to happen. But this is wild. This is very interesting, and this is states' rights coming back. 2020 was really kind of maybe the start of this, and people seeing, oh man, I can't do this. Actually, it happened before that a little bit. Trump too, and happened other times too. But things that Trump was doing, we had blue states that were like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Now we have 2020. We had red states saying, I ain't doing that. We're a injection-free zone or whatever. Now again, this is ramping up again. But this is the 10th Amendment. Again, the Bill of Rights shows us that there's, as Barack Obama said, the constitutional lawyer said, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Charter of Negative Liberties. Yeah, exactly. It's a negative liberty for you, for the government. It's all positive, a charter of positive things for the individual. The individual is what works here. When we do things for the individual, which we're all part of a community and part of the collective, if you do things right for the individual, then obviously it's going to flow up or flow down, however you want to look at it, and it's going to be good for everyone. If you do things just good for the collective, then you're going to have a lot of collateral damage and a lot of debris, and a lot of people get taken out in the collective because you're trying to do, or at the individual level, because you're trying to do what's best for everyone, a one-size-fits-all approach. It's not how life works. So just to say a couple notes here, states' rights going to be huge, obviously. The incentives have to stop. If why don't you just go to customs? If you need to come over the border so badly, just go to customs. How about we use the laws that are already in the books? We have thousands of laws on the books already. Why don't we shore up that system? Why don't we make that system better? Why don't you just come to customs, check yourself in? What are we doing here? What are we doing? And that's a whole nother story, right? I'm being facetious in a way, because I know people that try to come here legally, and it's HE double hockey sticks. So that needs to be cleaned up. And so there's clearly a reason why people are trying to come here illegally, but you have to ask yourself, again, do you lock your doors at night? Do you just leave your car doors unlocked? Do you just go everywhere and just leave everything unlocked? No, of course people don't. They have borders for a reason. We have locks for a reason. We want good law-abiding citizens to come in. We're not going to just let any person in here. No one's against immigration. No one's against people coming here, because hello, we all are. So you want to make sure you know who's coming in the house. You want to make sure you know what's going on. And this is where, if you stop the incentives that just incentivize and make it easy for people to come here legally, well, what do you think they're going to do? What do you think the drug traffickers are going to do? What do you think the human traffickers are going to do? And that's what we're aiding and abetting right now. We're aiding and abetting bad people to do bad things, number one, and we're aiding drug traffickers, and we're aiding the child traffickers and human traffickers. So here we are. We've made our bed, and we're going to lay in it. So the Civil War is here, and it ain't going away. It looks worse than it did 20 years ago when I told my father in high school that it was going to happen. Here we are, and we're ramping up. We're a couple chapters past that, and we are ramping up. The story ain't over yet. So please share us out. The algorithm hates truth. Question everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. Trust but verify what I'm saying. Check me in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. And this is not financial advice. It's freedom advice. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.